Hello students, I am here again to continue with that prose from the Echoes, the singing lesson. Last class we started singing lesson written by Catherine Mansfield. We have done a part of that story. Today we will be continuing that and see what are the head proceedings of the story and what are the twists and turns taking place. So let's go to singing lesson. Okay students, we are back in this chapter again. That is the singing lesson. One part I have completed last class, so we will continue with what goes ahead in the chapter, right? So all of you, in your textbook it is page number 92. Come to the paragraph. Yes. So I just told you that what was the thought process of Miss Meadows at this moment. Now you see this paragraph, that is the third paragraph on the screen right now. Inverted comma start, I feel more and more strongly that our marriage would be a mistake. Not that I do not love you. I love you as much as it is possible for me to love any woman. But truth to tell, I have come to the conclusion that I am not a marrying man. And the idea of settling down fills me with nothing but, and the word disgust was scratched out lightly and regret written over the top. Now, my dear students, this paragraph is a part of that letter which has come from Basil to Miss Meadows, and that's why it has been written with an inverted comma, and there is a dotted sign in the beginning of the first line. Before the first line of this paragraph begins, we have some dotted marks. That resembles that it is a letter, it's a part and parcel of the letter which Basil has given to Miss Meadows. So Meadows goes back to those lines, what is written in that letter. So in that letter, Basil has written that I feel more and more strongly that a marriage would be a mistake. Basil is he is confessing that even though I get married to you, Meadows, then it will be a mistake. And it's not that I don't love you. I love you as much as it is possible for me to love any woman. But the truth to tell, I have come to the conclusion that I am not a married man. So I have come to a point that no doubt I love you immense. I have love for you, but I cannot marry you. And the idea of settling down fills me with nothing, because when I think of marriage with you, then that idea seems to be nothing. It means it is very futile if I marry you. And moreover, in that letter there is a word which was previously written by Basil, disgust. And what Basil did, he striked off that word disgust, and just over that he has written regret. So that is again another painful, pain with a lot of pains again. So as because in the letter it was written regret, so that was really very heartbreaking for Meadows, because she is in that lines, those lines what has been written in the letter by Basil. Now he is telling Basil, Miss Meadows stopped over to the piano, and Mary Beasley, who was waiting for this moment, bent forward. Her curls fell over her cheeks while she breathed, "Good morning, Miss Meadows," and she mentioned towards rather than handed to her mistress a beautiful yellow chrysanthemum. Now in the classroom, Meadows is there. Already the students are awaiting for her since a long time. Now her favorite student, that is Mary Beasley, was waiting because she used to play the piano when the song practicing goes on. Now when she saw her man, she just bent forward and her hair curls fell over her cheeks while she breathed. So this is the facial description given by the author, and she was about to tell good morning to her ma'am, and after good morning it has been a regular practice that she used to give a bunch of chrysanthemum flowers as a token of respect and love to her teacher. So little girl ritual, this little ritual of the flower had gone through for ages. Since many days this has been a practice, and Mary used to give her teacher a bunch of yellow chrysanthemum, and the tenure of this type of affair was around a term and a half. So it was as much part of the lesson as opening the piano. But this morning, instead of taking it up, instead of tucking it into her belt, while she leant over Mary and said, "Thank you, Mary. How very nice." Turn to page 32. So usually when Mary used to give flowers to her teacher was retaliate in response. In response, she used to tell, "Good morning, thank you, Mary. How very nice flowers you have given." But today she didn't utter any such words which was anticipated by Mary Beasley. Rather, all of a sudden, Meadows told, "All of you turn to page number 32. The page number 32 means in that poetry book, page number 32, you should, all of you, move to that page, because that is the poem which I am going to teach you today." What was Mary's horror when Miss Meadows totally ignored the chrysanthemum? Now, the moment Mary saw all those things, she couldn't tolerate and she couldn't believe that how her favorite teacher could do like this. She has ignored the chrysanthemum. So that child was really very hurt and with lot of remorse, because teacher made no reply to her greeting, but said in a voice of ice. Voice of ice means with a stern and stiff voice, she told, "Page 14 please, and mark the accents well." Now she is telling you, all of you go to page number 14, and while you sing, the accent should be well pronounced. Staggering moment, Mary blushed until the tears stood in her eyes, but Miss Meadows was gone back to the music stand. Her voice rang through the music hall. Now, the moment she was very emotional, Mary was about to cry. She has tears in her eyes about to shed. So, by that time, she was looking to her teacher. The Miss Meadows has already gone back to the music stand, and her voice was ringing through the music hall. Page 14, we will begin with page 14, a lament. Now, girls, you ought to know it by this time. We shall take it all together, not in parts, all together, and without expression, sing it though quite simply, beating time with the left hand. Now, Miss Meadows instructed her students that all of you need to go to page number 14, because we will begin with page number 14, and the poem which was on page number 14 was a lament. It was a very sad song. Now, she also instructed her students that they have to sing in a time, all together they have to sing, not in parts and without expression. The song has to be sung without expression, and it has to be sung quite simply, and the beating time with the left hand. She instructed with that baton that you need to sing at a go. She raised the baton, she tapped the music stand twice. So that's sort of indication to the students that they should start singing without any haste, means without any doing any sort of they should not do late in singing that song. So down came Mary on the opening chord, down came all those left hands beating in the air, and it chimed those young mournful voices. So at a go, all the girls sitting in that music hall, they started singing. So these lines, which are written in a slanting word front, these are actually the words of that song, that lament, which was on page number 14. Now, what was the song? Fast, too fast fade the roses of pleasure. Soon autumn yields unto winter drear. Fleetly, fleetly, music's gay measure passes away from the listening ear. So, students, you must have noticed that how the lines have been composed, and there are certain words which has been splitted, and it means that the song is a sad song. Then Miss Meadows tell, "Good heavens, what could be more tragic than that lament? Every note was a sigh, a sob, a groan of awful mournfulness." Good heavens. So she's telling, oh God, what could be more tragic than the way you are singing, all of you? Every note supposed to be a sigh, a sob, a groan of awful. This should be sung from the core of your heart with lot of pain, lot of you can tell it has to be sung with lot of sadness. Miss Meadows lifted her arms in the white gown and began conducting with both hands. I feel more and more strongly that our marriage would be a mistake. Now suddenly, what do you see? She was instructing something to the students, and in between that, without the knowledge of the students, she again went to back to her own thoughts. Because this story from the beginning we have seen that whenever Miss Meadows, right from the morning, she was talking to somebody, but in between she is going in her, no doubt physically she is talking to a person, but mentally she goes to her own world where she has been tormented a lot by the letter which was given by her fiance. So he is telling that I feel more and more strongly that her marriage would be a mistake. Now this line has been written by Basil, and she beat with the baton on the music stand, and the voices cried, Fleetly, ah, Fleetly. What could have possessed him to write such a letter? What could have led up to it? It came out of nothing. His last letter had been all about a fumed oak bookcase he had brought for our books and a natty little hall stand. He had seen a very neat affair with a carved owl on a bracket, holding 3 hat brushes in its claws. How she had smiled at that, so like a man to think one needed 3 hat brushes. From the listening ear sang the voices. Now here, students, Miss Meadows is wondering what made Basil to write such a letter to me. Everything was going fine. And why he has told that marriage would be a mistake. How could he tell this line to me? What happened wrong? Now that particular situation is correlating to this particular mournful line, that is Fleetly, ah, Fleetly. What could have possessed him to write such a letter? Then Meadows is thinking that the last letter what she got from Basil was a fantastic letter. In that letter, Basil has mentioned that what are the things he has planned to purchase. Okay, for example, about a fumed oak bookcase, then he would natty little hall stand, then in that stand there will be a carved owl on a bracket holding 3 hat brushes in its claws. So this is the decorum of that stand, means that little hall stand, what Basil has planned to purchase, and how she had smiled. And when Basil has disclosed all these things, that my dear, my sweetheart, Meadows, I am going to purchase this, then that has brought a smile on the face of hers. Now she had smiled at that, so that a man to think one needed 3 hat brushes. From the listening ear sang the voices. Now she is just recollecting those good times what she had with Basil, but time and again those staunching lines of the letter makes this lady so pathetic, so tormented. Her heart becomes that she is out of vein, she is being absent-minded in the class. Now the next paragraph is, once again said Miss Meadows, but this time in parts. So now, still without expression, fast. Now Miss Meadows again, suddenly she came back from her thoughts to the classroom, present scenario. Again she is advising her students that this time, once again you have to sing that song, and this time in parts, still without expression. You should sing it again without expression, fast, too fast. So with the gloom of the contraltos added, one could scarcely help shuddering. Now contraltos is the voice of the girls, the lowest pitch voice of the girls. So you have to sing it with the maximum low tone, because it's a lament song, it's a sad song. One could scarcely help shuddering. Fade the roses of pleasure. Last time he had come to see her, Basil had worn a rose in his buttonhole. How handsome he had looked in that bright blue suit with that dark red rose. And he knew it too, he couldn't help knowing it. First he stroked his hair, then his moustache, his teeth gleamed when he smiled. Now Meadows goes back to those old days when Basil had visited her, and Basil was wearing actually a blue suit and a rose in the buttonhole of that blazer. And Basil was looking awfully awesome, he was looking very handsome, and that blazer was at his best attire. It suits him very much. And Meadows was extremely happy looking at her fiancé. So first what Basil did, he stroked his hair, then his moustache. It means he is just managing his body language, because he has come to meet her fiancé. that is he had come to meet Meadows. The headmaster's wife keeps on asking me to dinner. It's a perfect nuisance. I never get an every evening to myself in that place. Now, students, you see, suddenly Meadows was talking about her fiance, that when he came and how handsome he was looking with that flower in the buttonhole, blah blah blah, whatever is written. Now, next line is in inverted comma. Now, this is the sentence which was told by Basil in the last meeting with Meadows. Now, what Basil told, Basil had informed Miss Meadows that the headmaster's wife, he keeps on insisting me to come to dinner, and it is a perfect nuisance. Now, Basil replied that I don't have an evening, I cannot spare an evening for those odd things, because I cannot get an evening to myself in that place. How can I spare an evening and go for a dinner? So, this might have been a discussion between Basil and Miss Meadows. To this, Miss Meadows at that time, she had told, or she had retaliated to Basil that, but can't you refuse? So she told him that, can't you refuse? Oh well, it doesn't do for a man in my position to be unpopular. Now, when she had told this one, then Basil has replied to her that no, I cannot do that, because I am in a position, I am in a designation that if I tell this kind of derogatory sentence, if I refuse, then it would be very unpopular and unethical. So I haven't done like this. Then again, now Meadows was in her thought. Now she again came back to the classroom, that is the music hall. Music's gay measure wailed the voices. The willow trees outside the high narrow windows waved in the wind. They had lost half their leaves. The tiny ones that clung wrinkled like fishes caught on a line. I am not a marrying man. The voices were silent. The piano waited. Now again she came back to the classroom, and here the scene has been taken from the classroom's windows into the scenic beauty outside. Now what was there? The willow trees were there, very high trees, narrow windows were there. So the vision of the trees was very much clear, waved in the wind, and the trees have lost half their leaves because they have already shed because of the strong winds. Only the tiny ones that clung wrinkled like fishes caught on a line. I can see small fishes. It means this is indicating to the situation of Meadows now. Now those old memories are just like the fishes which are caught on a line. Okay, most of the memories have already vanished. Okay, they are now worthless because that person has directly denied through a letter that he is not going to marry her. That's why again that line is repeated. I am not a marrying man. The voices were silent. The piano waited. Now this is the thought of that line, what in that letter was mentioned. Now Meadows was going back to that line again and again because she could not tolerate this line. How can a person write like this directly, bluntly to her? The voices were silent. Voices were silent, the voice of the children. Now they have already sung it for the second time or third time, that song, and they were silent. The piano also stopped because Mary has also stopped playing the piano. Quite good, said Miss Meadows, but still in such a strange, stony tone that the younger girls began to feel positively frightened. No doubt the response of their teacher, she responds quite good, but it was not such a stony voice, such a stern voice that the girls were beginning to feel frightened now. And now we know it, we shall take it with expression, as much expression as you can put into it. So now Meadows is telling again to the student that you have to sing that song again, but this time you have to put lot of expression. Earlier 2 times they have sung it without expression. Now what she is telling, use your imagination fast, too fast, cried Miss Meadows. That ought to break out a loud strong forte, a lament. And then in the second line, winter drear, make that drear sound as if a cold wind were blowing through it, drear, said she, so awfully that Mary Beasley on the music stool wrinkled her spine. She was gone really mad. What her teacher is doing and what kind of body expression is this? The third line should be in one crescendo, fleetly music's gay measure, breaking on the first word of the last line, passes, and then on the word away. You must begin to die, to fade until the listening ear is nothing more than a faint whisper. You can slow down as much as you like, almost on the last line. Now, please. Now, students, this whole paragraph you must have noticed. Meadows is giving her instruction and she is advising a student. Now they have to sing that song with expression, and with what kind of expression they need to put in every line that has been given. In the first line, the second line, in the third line, and the fourth line. You read it, you can understand what she is trying to. She wants that her students should feel that particular, excuse me, she needs to feel that pain, that particular deep rooted, that sorrowness is there, and that should be felt by the students. Again, the last two lines, the two light taps with her baton she did on the music stand. She lifted her arms again, fast, too fast. And the idea of settling down fills me with nothing but disgust. Disgust was what he had written. That was as good as to say their engagement was definitely broken off. Broken off their engagement. People had been surprised enough that she had got engaged. The science mistress would not believe it at first, but nobody had been as surprised as she. Now, when she is telling that nothing but disgust, whatever performance you have given students, it was disgusting. Now, moment she thought of this word disgust, now that word took her to the letter where there was disgust and it was struck off, and over it was written regret. Now, again in the back, in her predicaments, that lady went. And what is written? How could he write such a thing? Everybody knows that I am engaged to Basil, I am getting married to him. And what face the relationship has broken off, what I will tell, how people will react, and especially that science mistress with whom my compatibility is not at all good. I don't believe it. Nobody has been surprised as she. What is going to happen? How can I face them and tell? She was 30, Basil was 25. So actually in this line we are getting new information that Miss Meadows was 30 years of old. Her age was 30, whereas Basil was 25. Means 5 years younger than Miss Meadows. It had been a miracle, simply a miracle, to hear him say, as they walked down from church that very dark night, somehow or other I have got fond of you. And he had taken hold of the end of her ostrich feather boa, passes away from the listening ear. Now again Miss Meadows goes to the past events of her life. She is telling that last meeting when I and Basil were returning from the church, walking on the road alone, we had attended the church and we are coming back or home in the dark night. Then he told me, somehow or other I have got fond of you. That's the first time when Basil had proposed her, and this was the key words what he had uttered at that moment, and it had given a lot of indication to Meadows that Basil had fallen in love with her, and he had also taken hold of the end of her ostrich. It was chill, that was winter season, and she was putting an ostrich feather boa around her neck on her gown. So he also put it in a right order. It's a token of or a sign of love and adoration for Miss Meadows. Then passes away from the listening ear. This is again the line from the poem is coming into her mind. Repeat, said Miss Meadows. More expression, girls. Once more. Now again, this is the fourth time she is addressing her student. Now this is a jumble. Now the thoughts are being taken into her mind, the past events, again to the present. So that's a jumbling of thoughts here. So again when she came back to her senses, that she saw that he is in the music hall, again she told, repeat, said Miss Meadows. More expression, girls, once more. You need to sing it once more. Fast, too fast. The older girls were crimson. Some of the younger ones began to cry. Big spots of rain blew against the windows, and no one would hear the willows whispering, not that I do not love you. Again, by this type of attitude what Meadows shown in the class, the children are really terribly frightened. Now they are ultimately, the young girls were beginning to cry, and big spots of rain blew against the windows. This is the scenic changes. What is the weather changes is shown. Lot of big spots of rain blew against the windows, and one could hear the willows whispering. The willow trees were whispering among each other, and not that I do not love you. Again, she went back to that line which was written by Basil to her. But my darling, if you love me, thought Miss Meadows, I don't mind how much it is. Love me as little as you like. But she knew he didn't love her, not to have cared enough to scratch out the word disgust, so that she couldn't read it. Soon autumn ills into winter drear. She would have to leave the school too. She could never face the science mistress on the girls after it got known. She would have to disappear somewhere, passes away. The voices begin to die, to fade, to whisper, to vanish. Again, she is coming here, getting back to the letter lines. She is telling that how could he wrote that, no doubt I love you, but I cannot marry you. But I love him so much, and she knew he didn't love her, and now she is getting the picture that Basil didn't have any sort of inclination or weakness for her, and moreover he has written disgust. So this thing again is giving twists and turns into her mind, and she is totally disturbed and berserk. She is not in her senses right now. She would have leave the school. She have to. And what is the after effects of this? If people come to know, then Meadows is thinking, I have to leave the school, and moreover I have to disappear somewhere. How could I face the science mistress, who is now and then, every time she used to taunt me like anything? The voices began to die, to fade, to whisper, to vanish. Suddenly the door opened. Now this was the thought process which was doing, and suddenly the door opened. A little girl in blue walked fussily up the aisle, hanging her head, biting her lips, and twisting the silver bangle on her red little wrist. She came up the steps and stood before Miss Meadows. While this kind of affair was going on in the class, suddenly what Meadows saw, a little girl, a student of that school. She came to the door, and she was about to tell something to Miss Meadows. And her attire, her body language, how her expression was, everything is described in this particular paragraph. Now looking at her, Meadows tells her, well, Monica, what is it? It means the name of that little girl was Monica. The teacher wanted to know that, well, Monica, what is it? Oh, if you please, Miss Meadows, said the little girl, gasping. Miss Watt wants to see you in the mistress room. Now she came there, and she informed her teacher that Miss Watt, that is the headmistress of that school, wants to meet you. Very well, said Miss Meadows, and she walked to the girls. I shall put you on your honor to talk quietly while I am away. But they were too subdued to do anything else. Most of them were blowing their noses. So now she was getting ready to go and meet the headmistress, Miss White. But before she left the room, she again instructed. She saw that most of the girls in that class were blowing their noses. It means they are crying. The corridors were silent and cold. They echoed to Miss Meadows' steps. Nobody was there. Everybody was pretty busy in their own classes. Now she again crossed that corridor. The headmistress sat at her desk. For a moment she did not look up. She was unusual, distangling her eyeglasses, which had got in the lace tie. Sit down, Miss Meadows, she said very kindly, and then she picked up a pink envelope from the blotting pad. I sent for you just now because this telegram has come for you. Now when she entered, the headmistress was pretty busy in some other work, but so that's why she was tangling her eye glasses, which has got stuck in the lace tie. Now she told that asked Miss Meadows to sit down, and then she handed over to her a pink envelope, which was basically a telegram which has come in the name of Miss Meadows. A telegram for me, Miss Wade? Now she is inquiring. A telegram for me, Miss Wade? Basil, he had committed suicide, decided Miss Meadows. So Basil, he had committed suicide, decided Miss Meadows. Her hand flew out, but Miss Wade held the telegram back a moment. I hope it's not bad news, she said, so more than kindly, and Miss Meadows tore it open. Now, when she told a telegram has come, now she has thought lot of. She thought, Basil, had he committed suicide? Now, out of curiosity and lot of anxiety, she took that telegram from the hands of Miss Wade. And while Miss Wade was handing over the telegram, she also told her that I hope it's not a bad news, more than so kindly. But Meadows tore it open instantaneously. Pay no attention to letter. Must have been mad. Brought hat stand today. Basil, she read. She couldn't take her eyes off the telegram. Now, what was written? It was a miraculous sentence that was written that Meadows, pay no attention to the letter. You must have been mad. Today I brought that hat stand, and that named Basil. She read it. She could not take her eyes off the telegram. I do hope it's nothing very serious, said Miss Waite, leaning forward. Now, when she was reading Meadows the telegram, Miss Waite was also awaiting for the reply that what was in the telegram. She leaned forward and asked, I hope nothing serious. Oh, no, thank you, Miss Waite, blushed Miss Meadows. It's nothing bad at all. And she gave an apologetic little laugh. It's from my fiance saying that she didn't disclose what he has written. Only he has given the broken indications, saying that, and there was a pause. I see, said Miss Waite, and another pause. Then you have 15 minutes more of your class, Miss Meadows, haven't you? Now Waite told her that you have more 15 minutes, Meadows, so you can go and continue your classes. So students, you need to stop here. There's only a part is left, which I will be completing it in the coming class, because here up till here what we saw that now there is a change in the situation in the mindset of Meadows, because she has got a telegram. First she got a letter from Basil, and now she has got a telegram from Basil. In both the written formats, the presentation of that person is different, because physically you have not found Basil till now. Okay, so wait another pause. Then you have 15 minutes more of your class, Miss Meadows, haven't you? You have more 15 minutes. So yes, Miss Waite, she got up, she half ran towards the door. Now there is a change in her attitude, in her gesture, in her mindset, because she has got something unexpected. Now, without sparing a second over in that room of that Miss Waite, she rushed back to her door of the music hall. Oh, just 1 minute, Miss Meadows. Now she was about to leave. Now Miss Waite just called her and told, I must say, I don't approve of my teachers having telegrams sent to them in school hours, unless in case of very bad news. Now Miss Waite told Miss Meadows that, Meadow, one thing I want to tell you, that in the school hours I don't expect teachers to receive telegrams unless and until it's an emergency, such as death, explained Miss Waite, or on a very serious accident or something to that effect. Good news, Miss Meadows, will always keep, you know. So she told that if it is an incident about death or a very serious accident, then you can expect you will get. Otherwise, I don't give any room for my teachers that they would be receiving telegrams regarding their personal matter. On the wings of hope, of love, of joy, Miss Meadows sped back to the music hall, up to the aisle, up the steps, over to the piano. Now see the change in the body language and mindset of Miss Meadows. After she got that letter, physically, mentally, spiritually, how she got charged up. She went running to the music hall, and suddenly she entered and just instructed the students, page 32, Mary. Voluntarily she was telling, she was not talking to her favorite student. She told them to come to some other page. Now she is telling page 32, Mary, she said, page 32, and picking up the yellow chrysanthemum, she held it to her lips to hide her smile. Then she turned to the girls, rapped with her baton, page 32, girls, page 32. Now in 32 there was a very interesting song. It was a happy song, and the song was, we come here today with flowers overladen, with baskets of fruit and ribbons to boot, to congratulate. Stop, stop, cried Miss Meadows. This is awful. This is dreadful. And she beamed at her girls. What's the matter with you all? Think, girls, think of what you are singing. Use your imagination with flowers overladen, baskets of fruits and ribbons to boot, and congratulate. Miss Meadows broke off. Don't look so doleful. Now, doleful means sad. Don't look so sorrowful, girls. It ought to sound warm, joyful, eager. Congratulate. Once more, quickly, all together. Now then. And this time, Miss Meadows' voice sounded over all the other voices, full, deep, glowing with expression. So now you see that lament song was gone. Now she is totally in that happy song, and now Miss Meadows returned to her class in a very happy and excited mood. Now she was in the wings of hope, with wings of joy. Now in the mood of excitement, she shared the girls in a different song, and one of congratulations, of a happy going poem. So Miss Meadows' voice sang the loudest of all voices. Now see, the teacher, who was being pretty absent minded, at times she was in the classroom, at times she went back to the nature, at times she went back to the past events. Now she is so concerned and focused on that. So this shows, if a person is mentally happy, then everything she or he does will be appropriate and to the point. So this changes the letter telegram she got from Basil. Basil has begged pardon about that letter, and so her love, her the attraction of that person was still there, which she can anticipate of good future ahead. So this is the end of this story, students. So Miss Meadows is happy again, and we expect her to get married Basil soon and lead a very prosperous life ahead. So read this chapter, and then you can come across something. If any doubt, you can better clarify it in the class. Thank you.